Freiherr, Freifrau and Freiin are designations used as titles of nobility in the German-speaking areas of the Holy Roman Empire, and in its various successor states, including Austria, Prussia, Bavaria, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, etc. Traditionally, it denotes the second lowest titled rank within the nobility, above Ritter and Edler and below Graf and Herzog. The title superseded the earlier medieval form, Edelherr. It corresponds to Baron in rank. A Freiherr is sometimes also referred to as Baron. He is always addressed as Herr Baron or Baron. If he belongs to the Uradel, he enjoys the predicate high-born. Otherwise, he is high-well-born together with all proper nobility. Freiherr in the feudal system. The title Freiherr derives from the historical geopolitical situation in which an owner held free title to his land, unlike the ordinary baron, who was originally a knight in vassalage to a higher lord or sovereign, and unlike medieval German ministerials, who were bound to provide administrative services for a lord. A Freiherr sometimes exercised hereditary administrative and judicial prerogatives over those resident in his barony instead of the liege lord, who might be the duke or count. Freiherr versus Baron. The German language title of Freiherr is rendered in English as Baron, although the title was derived separately in the two languages. Even in German, a Freiherr is often styled and addressed as Baron in social circumstances, although not the official title. In northern Germany, there was also an official but foreign rank of Baron, mostly used for Baltic barons created by the Tsar of Russia, but recognized in Germany, in Austria-Hungary and in the Baltic and Nordic countries. Freiherr officially came to be considered of legally equal rank to the title of Baron. The original distinction from other barons was that a friar's landed property was allodial instead of a fief. Barons who received the title from the Holy Roman Emperor are sometimes known as barons of the Holy Roman Empire, in order to distinguish them from other barons, although the title as such was simply Freiherr. Since the dissolution of the Holy Roman Empire in 1806, Freiherr and denotes at present belong to the noble hierarchy of the realm. By a decision of the Congress of Vienna in 1815, their titles were nonetheless officially recognized. From 1806, the now independent German monarchies, such as Bavaria, Württemberg and Lippe, could create their own nobility, including Freiherren. Some of the older baronial families began to use Freiherr in formal contexts to distinguish themselves from the new classes of barons created by monarchs of lesser stature than the Holy Roman emperors, and this usage is far from obsolete, used prior to abolition of nobility. As with most titles and designations within the nobility in the German-speaking areas of Europe, the rank was normally hereditary and would generally be used together with the nobiliary particle of von zu before a family name. The inheritance of titles of nobility in most German-speaking areas was mostly not restricted by primogeniture as is the baronial title in Britain. Hence the titles applied equally to all male line descendants of the original grantee in perpetuity. All legitimate sons of a Freiherr shared his title and rank, and could be referred to as Freiherr. The wife of a Freiherr is titled Freifrau, and a daughter of a Freiherr is called Freiin. Both titles are translated in English as Baroness. In Prussia and some other countries in Northern Europe, the title of Freiherr was, as long as the monarchy existed, usually used preceding a person's given name. In Austria-Hungary and Bavaria, however, it would by contrast be inserted between the given and the family name. Since abolition of nobility, after the First World War, the monarchies were abolished in most German-speaking areas of Europe, and the nobility lost recognition as a legal class in the newly created republics of Germany and Austria. In Austria, the Republic of Austria abolished hereditary noble titles for its citizens by the Adelsaufhebungsgesetz of 3 April 1919 and the corresponding decree of the state government. The public use of such titles was and still is prohibited, and violations could be fined. Hans Freiherr von Schwarz, as an Austrian citizen, therefore lost his title of Freiherr von and would simply be named as Hans Schwarz in his Austrian passport. In practice, however, former noble titles are still recognized in Austria. Some people consider it a matter of courtesy to use them. The late Otto von Habsburg, in his childhood Crown Prince of Austria-Hungary, according to Austrian law since 1919, bore the name Otto Habsburg Lothringen, living in Pocking near Munich after World War II. He nevertheless managed to receive federal German citizenship as Otto von Habsburg and was serving under that name as a member of the European Parliament. In 2003, the Constitutional Court ruled that an Austrian woman having been adopted by a German carrying an aristocratic title as part of his name is not allowed to carry this title in her name. The Federal Administrative Court in a similar case asked the European Court of Justice whether this Austrian regulation would violate the right of the European Union. The European Court of Justice did not object to the Austrian decision not to accept the words Fürst and von as part of an Austrian woman's name. In Germany, the German Republic, under Article 109 of the Weimar Constitution of 1919, legally transformed all hereditary noble titles into dependent parts of the legal surname. The former title thus became a part of the family name, and moved in front of the family name. Freiherr Hans von Schwarz, as a German citizen, therefore became Hans Freiherr von Schwarz. As dependent parts of the surnames, they are ignored in alphabetical sorting of names, as is a possible nobiliary particle, such as von, and might not be used by those bearing them. Female forms of titles have been legally accepted as a variation in the surname after 1919 by a still valid decision of the former German High Court. The distinguishing main surname is the name following the Freiherr, Freifrau, Freiin, and, where applicable, the nobiliary particle. In the preceding example, the main surname is Schwarz and so alphabetically is listed under S. Parallel titles. Similar titles have been seen in parts of Europe that have historically been dominated by Germany, the Baltic states, Austria-Hungary, Sweden, Finland, and to some extent in Denmark, Norway. Swedish and Danish Norwegian title. In Swedish nobility, each head of a noble house was, since the Middle Ages, entitled to a vote in any provincial council when held, as in the realms Herredag, later Riddarhuset. From 1561, King Eric XIV began granting some of them the titles Count and Baron. The family members of a Freiherr were entitled to the same title, which in speech eventually became Baron or Baronessa. Thus, a person who is listed as a Freiherr may use the title Baron in front of his name, but he also may be spoken of as a Baron. However, after the change of constitution in 1809, the newly created baronships were in principle only conferring the dignity by primogeniture. In the now valid Swedish instrument of government, the possibility to bestow nobility is completely eliminated, and since approximately the year 2000 the noble dignities have passed from the officially legal to the private sphere. In Denmark and Norway the title of Freiherr was of equal rank to that of Baron, which gradually replaced it. It was instituted on the 25th of May 1671 with Christian V's Freiherr privileges. Today only a few Danish noble families use the title of Freiherr, and most of them are based in Sweden, where that version of the title is still more commonly used. The wife of a Danish-Norwegian Freiherr is titled Freiherren, and the daughters are prefixed Baroness. Generally a Danish Freiherr is referred to as Baron. Finnish title. In 1561, the Swedish King Erik XIV conferred the hereditary titles of Count and Freiherr on some persons, not all of them nobles. This prerogative was confirmed in the constitutional arrangements of 1625. All family members of Freiherr families were entitled to that same title, which in practice came to mean that they were addressed as baroni or baronita. The Finnish noble shares most of its origins with Swedish nobility. In the beginning, they were all without honorific titulature and known just as lords. In subsequent centuries, while Finland remained an autonomous Grand Duchy, many families were raised in rank as counts, Freiherres, or as entitled nobles. Theoretically, all created Freiherr families were given a barony, but such fiefs were only granted in the 16th and 17th centuries. Thereafter the barony was titular, usually in chief of some already owned property, and sometimes that property was established as a fideicommis. The property tax exemption continued into the 20th century, being, however, diminished substantially by reforms of the 19th century.